Welcome everyone to Love and Beloved Platform and happy 2025 New Year, guys. I cannot believe it, but I hope all of you have a wonderful holidays with your families. You ate the good food, you rested, recharged, and I actually praying for all of you who is struggling because we know that grief and sorrows part of this life and in this season, and we know life can be very challenging at times. So I hope and pray that you have people surrounding you and loving on you and thinking of you as well. And thank you for continue to listening, Love and Beloved podcast and watching on YouTube. And I hope it encourages and gives you hope and knowing that you're never alone and that you are deeply loved. And I'm so excited to have you joining us today for this very special 5 week series. And we talked a little bit about this in December, and it's called the Wellness Blueprint, and we align in mind, body, heart, and spirit. And true transformation require us to address all of this part of ourselves, because physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness is very important, and they have to work together. So I've decided to invite the expert and debunk some myths about wellness, answer some of your questions, and share practical tools and strategies that are simple and achievable and help you to reach your goals and thrive in any season of your life. So, joining me today in January, Sara Burton, and Sara is movement specialist, and she has been in my life for over 10 years. So for the past year, Sara was my fitness coach as well, and she was guiding me through most challenging health season of my life. So guys, her expertise and support have been really truly transformative to me. That's why I bring this expert to you as well. Welcome, Sara, to Love and Beloved Platform.
Thank you. Happy New Year. This is an exciting new year ahead of us. I'm very happy to have this series to start out our new year together.
So excited. And guys, grab your notebooks, find a quiet space. I know we love multitasking, and I'm one of those people who can cook, listen to podcasts, watching YouTube, talking to my kids, answering the call, texting for work. But this is important because I know for myself, if I'm sit down and I focus, I can get so much more out of it. And we have only 30 minutes. So please, it's very valuable for you to focus and soak all these insights. That's why we're gonna set up you for the success. And but your part is really concentrate and truly believe to supporting women, and together we turn your challenges into opportunities for lasting transformation. So recently we recorded an episode called Today is the Day that dives deeper into Sarah's story in our journey together. And you can listen on Spotify, watching on YouTube. But for those who jumping in just right now, Sarah, could you please share a little bit about your background and what has shaped you into the person you are today?
Thank you. Yeah, I have been in a fitness kind of environment for both my work and personal exercise for basically my whole adult life. But I would say 2001, 2004, that it's between those years where I've really started my journey to be more strategic in fitness. I ended up teaching. I ended up managing at a gym. I developed my own business and personal training. And in all of that experience, there has been a family that I've been taking care of, obviously with my own children, but we did also take in my brother-in-law who has a disability, and we took care of him. So it was a very busy time frame. And so in order to keep things on track, I learned a lot of different tricks and tools, and I have some advice to offer people and those that are feeling the overwhelm of everything kind of crashing in. There's definitely things that I've learned along my path. So I'll frame it like that today.
That's awesome. And one thing that she didn't say that the family that she raised, like they all like athletes, so they are busy. So just to throw that real fast. And today is number one of the series of our wellness blueprint, and it's called Mind Over Matter and Building Mental Resilience for Lasting Wellness. So our focus today is on exploring the power of mindset, on mental clarity or overcoming some limited beliefs, because it's very important to have healthy mind because it's foundation for overall well-being and growth. And even in the Bible in Romans 12 2, it says be transformed by renewal of your mind. So we need to pay attention to that. So Sarah, do you believe building mental resilience is essential for lasting wellness, and why?
I've seen so many times where people have lost their fitness because of how they approach with their mind. And we have such power in our mind, and how we think, it impacts everything that we do, clearly. And there are a couple of different ways I like to think about mental wellness. And we can dive into that a little bit differently, but sometimes there's a time of trauma, and then all the other times, there's just a time of needing to do things to renew our minds. And so I'd like to really kind of mention that there's a big difference, because things happen in life. It's not a straight line. So sometimes it's a crisis, and sometimes things are going extremely well. And so how you deal with that is mental resilience. And so we feel overwhelmed at different times, and sometimes we feel pretty good. So even in those good times, what do you do to keep things prepared so that if and when the next crisis happens, you are a little bit more able to be resilient through it?
That's very good point of the creating that contingency plan and working on myself and knowing that when you feeling well and actually create those plans and some of the tools and strategies we're gonna give you right now so you can try. It's very easy, very doable, because sometimes like I do believe in the time of crisis, it's way too overwhelming to think about the steps, but if you put in practice, like little by little, during your days, this kind of practices, that plan can kick in automatically because you're gonna create the habits. And I totally saw this on my life. And you saw, Sarah, like with our last year training, how those days that I decide to work out, that even I was derailed, I still come back to work out on those days by default. And that's what we are talking right now. And
Exactly.
there's tons of like challenges and common misconceptions that we have about the mental resilience. And I like to ask you, Sarah, is there any tools or strategies you can provide?
Absolutely. So let's just first of all talk about a trauma scenario.
Okay.
So if you feel traumatized in some ways, you need to go to the trauma center. What does that mean? There could be many different ways that you can do that. So I'm not really going to spend time talking about that, but I want to acknowledge that that's really important. Like, you go to the hospital when you've broken a bone. So if your mind is actually like suffering, you need to get some professional help with that. So let's just make sure that that's important. So what I'd like to focus on today is a mental hygiene plan. So it's an interesting word, because we can understand hygiene is important. We need to brush our teeth on a regular basis, and that keeps our teeth healthy. So what kinds of things can we do to create mental wellness and create those mental hygiene practices? One of the things that I really think is important is to really manage our own expectations. We hear a lot about goal setting, and maybe we have images in our mind of, I want to achieve this particular goal. And when we don't reach it, that can really hurt us. We feel like, wow, I'm a failure. So even though I'm trying, I really am not succeeding. And so that approach and that way of thinking is not particularly helpful. So if we go back and talk little by little, as you've said, that can help us to really think things through in a much more realistic expectation. First thing that I would remind myself and others as well is that success is not a straight line. It's like a ball of yarn, just windy. And so we should expect that we're going to feel like taking care of our health, and that some days we should expect that we will feel like we don't want to do anything. And it's in those moments that if we can figure out what the bare minimum is that I can commit to. So increasing commitment on the bare minimum is an interesting thing I've been thinking about recently. I did develop a program called One Goal Fitness, and that really is the essence of it, is that when we say, okay, my minimum is A, B, and C, and I can commit to that no matter what, that's really helpful, I find. So if I'm going to move, whether it's push the vacuum around the house, go to the store, walk around, go for a walk, whatever your minimum is, and understanding that there are times where the minimum can be a bit higher. And sometimes the minimum has to be, wow, I showed up to see my trainer and I can't do anything. So we're going to do meditation. That still counts because it's a minimum that you can create an expectation that I'm going to do something. So that would be my first tip. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I love it. And honestly, guys, like I've been trying that with Sarah as well because I remember those times, that you literally was telling me that not lifting the iron, but work at home, it's still work. But in my mind, like it's never been work, vacuum cleaning, like redoing the closet or stuff like that. So that's honestly, it's changed my mindset and helped me to be gracious to myself and think more positive. Because even yesterday, I literally like redid all of my like closet space and all this stuff, and I was so happy because I declutter, I cleaned, and I moved because I was like lifting the boxes, like squatting, but like literally I was like aligning my shoulders, make sure that that would not hurt me. And that's what we talked about this little bit last time about how my mindset changed from like, oh, lose weight, get strong. Now I want to um age gracefully. I want to not to get hurt when I do simple. Well, that was not simple. That was heavy boxes and the containers and stuff. But I want to do this work and feel like, wow, I just like went to the gym, like nothing hurts, like stuff like that. So that's definitely changing perspective and helping to think about this positively. Another thing that it really helped me in those times when you give me this analogy. You said sometimes we're thinking that progress supposed to be like we climbing a ladder, and then when
Yes.
we derail or fail, like we falling down and we have to start from the beginning. And you said to me, imagine this actually it's a straight path and you fell down on, like you walking forward, you fell down on that spot and you get up from the same spot and moving forward, fell down again. And literally like it just like was for me, because like I love progress, and for me to understand that I'm still going forward although I get derailed, I get like life, all the problems and people expectation, my own expectation, family, all this stuff. You ladies, you get it. But the fact that I knew that I still like progressing helped me tremendously. So if you guys very visual and you can understand the fact that whatever you do, small things, like as long it's moving forward, and still so much better than you just choose to give up. And agree with everything that happening to you. So that's definitely very important. So we're gonna go into the question that you guys ask, and we're talking about overwhelm and mental clarity. So the question is, why do I constantly feel overwhelmed, like my mind is racing and I can't focus on what truly matters? Sarah, can you share your thoughts or insights on this?
Absolutely. Overwhelm. I mean, it's just natural for our world today when we have so many messages coming at us. How can we process all of that? And when we are raising children, we know that putting them in front of a screen too often is going to limit some of the things that they're able to do in their physical lives. Like we know that this correlation doesn't help teens. They get depressed when they're too much on their phone. And so same thing for us. I think sometimes we think, oh, we're adults, we can handle it. But what are the messages coming in for us? So sometimes they're external messages, sometimes they're internal messages, but the overwhelm comes a lot of times in the volume of those messages. So how are you going to create the clarity? Well, have time to shut off. And I think I see a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to take a social media break, and people announce it like it's a big deal. Don't announce it, just do it. Like, honestly, it's a really healthy thing to say, this is my limit for this, whatever that means. So whether it's entertainment, because I like to be on, you know, Facebook or whatever it is, seeing what's going on, is have a time for that. Have a very, purposeful way of thinking of that. And if it's too much, it's too much. Like, just let it stop. Um, we, if we're watching shows, what are those shows that you're watching? If the show is a fearful type of show, you're heightening your emotions. You're making your mind think that it's in trouble, when it's actually not. It's just a show. And so when we put, and I'm going to say the term pretty loosely, but garbage in, garbage out. So what are you putting in? Should it be this or should it be that? And when we're talking about just touching on the mental idea of renewing your mind, well, let's put some real truth in it. And the only truth I know comes from the scripture. And it's not that easy to just pick up and understand, where does that Romans 12 passage come from? It actually is one line, and it comes from a context. And so that's something to explore. That's a very positive thing that will feed your mind. But I think a lot of times we like to throw a Band-Aid on a cut and say, oh, well, that's the answer to that. Yeah, but what if that cut needs stitches? So sometimes there needs to be a bit more work done on the issue. So in our approach to overwhelm, trying to find the clarity in truth. So what is the truth that you need to take a look at? Is the truth what is happening to you currently? So if I'm in trauma, that truth is, therefore, I will have negative emotions because I've just been hurt. If I am in a good time, what is the truth? Well, the truth is I'm in a good time. So maybe things are easier, but I still need to take care to put good things in my mind. And what is the clarity? What does God have to say about me? And does he care if I take care of my body? Well, if you don't take care of your body, how can you love other people? If you are injured and then doing the wrong things to increase your injury, how is that going to make it faster to get back to being able to care for people, to be able to clean your closet, to be able to make yourself feel better? So these things are so interconnected. And when we try to just say, okay, today is my mental health day. Okay, right. Maybe you need that, but on a regular mental hygiene kind of method, you've got to do the little things more often. Is that clear?
So just to like kind of recap, are you talking about the just take time to actually self-evaluate and create that awareness? And because we're
Yeah.
so busy with all this external and internal stuff, like we don't have time to actually sit with ourselves and to evaluate what's going on in the life and why we have those triggers, kind of like self-awareness. We're talking about this right now.
100 first step is self-awareness. But second step with that's very closely linked to that is turn things off.
So
Like
unplugged.
calm down, unplug. The renewal has to happen on a regular. So does that mean
Mhm.
daily? For me, it's daily. Like I have to, you know, decide I'm going to start my day like A, B, and C. Do you have to start that way or could you finish? Sure, you can, but there has to be a time for you to do that on a regular. And it doesn't need to be like a huge thing. It could mean 2 minutes, it could mean an hour.
You know what's interesting? I just yesterday while I was cleaning the closet, I actually was listening to this podcast and this gentleman like just like give me this huge revelation, that phrase. He said about discipline. We're all thinking like, oh, we need discipline or we're lacking discipline. And that was like for me, I was always thinking like, oh, my parents didn't instill discipline in me, and now I have to work so hard to train myself, blah, blah, blah. So when he said, you actually have to have little bit discipline to create the habit. And I was like, what? So that was mind blowing for me. So actually, the habit, not the discipline, gonna move you forward. And just like Sarah just right now said, you can create a habit of like 5 minutes a day. You're gonna do something, and that's the discipline gonna be into deciding on a habit and keep that commitment. And then it's create the habit, so it's going by default rather than like discipline make you do it. No, the habit that you created make you do it, which is like really cool. So I want to talk about this common myth or can easily be a limiting belief about wellness. So we'll talk about this little bit and then we come back to your tool and strategy, and then I give you guys the same from the life coaching point of view as well. So, the common myth and can easily be limiting belief about wellness. I need to have everything perfectly figured out to start my wellness journey. So, in reality, wellness isn't perfect. It isn't about perfection, and we just talk about these small steps. And actually, it's about the progress. And overwhelm often comes from trying to tackle so many different things at once. And true mental clarity comes when we break things down into small, manageable steps and focus on one priority at a time. And wellness is a journey, not a destination, and every small step counts. And you guys, like for sure, we hear that a lot, journey, not destination. And um, actually, like just heard about if you have a goal, um, you have to enjoy while you get into that goal. Enjoy your life while you get into that goal, because sometimes we're thinking when I get this, I gonna be a peaceful, joyful, I gonna have all this stuff. In my opinion, this is the time to learn to become a person who gonna enjoy the fruits of your labors achieving that goal, and learning all these things like along the way. So would you please, Sarah, talk to us what you think about this and your strategy and tools?
The limiting belief comment, it's a critical piece. And if we feel that negative about something, is that not a lack of faith in if we feel like, oh, this is never going to get better, I can't do it. These might be true, except that's where we have to put ourselves and our mental understanding into, well, God is going to have to help me. right? So the limiting belief may be a good starting point. Like you might have that, but at some point you have to say, and so since I can't do it myself, I'm going to need something greater than myself to pull me up. And I think there's a lot of messaging to say, just have a positive mindset,
Mhm.
just push harder. Well, that if that worked, we will all be fine because that's the message that we all hear about. But it's not fully true. And especially when we have like really hard things in our life, we can't just pull ourselves up by our socks. And when I'm by myself, that is certainly worse for me than if I have more positive inputs coming in by engaging with other people. That's in a a group that has a positive direction towards learning the truth, not just a positive mindset thing, but trying to understand what the truth is. If you have people that can support you and say, no, Lena, you are on the right track, that's so helpful. And if you don't have those cheerleaders in your life, we need to go find them. And if this podcast is the only cheerleader in your life, okay, that's okay. But there would be another human. Just keep going until you find them. So your body is wanting to be in better balance. It wants to heal itself, but things get kind of like misaligned. And so we've got to get that alignment to happen. Our mind state, yeah, we're going to be having a bad attitude sometimes. So staying in the bad attitude is not the place we need to live. So what are the things we need to do? So is it cleaning the closet? Because then we do something different and we have a big renewal. Oh, that makes me feel this much better. So then I could do the next thing. Great. Maybe I need to go out for coffee with a friend. Maybe you go into the coffee feeling really down, but I'm pretty much going to guarantee if that's a proper friend, you're going to leave that coffee feeling pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That's really good tips and strategies. And I have to tell you guys that faith helped me a lot to get through and my traumas and my PTSDs. And I'm not talking about that it's been uh, miraculously healed, because like God opened lots of doors for me, brought tons of experts and courses and learning for last like maybe 10 over 10 years that I've been in this journey. And I'm telling you, faith, it's that foundation where I mm, take my joy, my peace, everything that I cannot get from anywhere else, because like it's all start within me. And that mindset, especially after having trauma, like, and honestly, more and more I'm learning about it. You don't have to be like raped, abused, and abandoned to have a trauma. Everything in your life that impacted you negatively, it's gonna leave a footprint in your life. And that awareness that something triggers you because of some negative impact, you have to look into it. And that's definitely gonna bring that sense of like understanding what's going on, and then you look for tools and strategies to help with that. But faith was like number one for me. So if you try everything, and you really want to look into it, give God a chance. But right now, like, I will help you to um have like couple exercises that you can have on this topic, so you can do them at home, easily share that with someone, or do it with your friends, or do it in the time of the moment that you're gonna quietly sit with yourself. So to identify your biggest mental distractions and use the focus technique to create clarity and reduce overwhelm, I would do this mind dump exercise. First of all, write down thoughts, worries, or tasks on paper to clear mental clutter, to identify priorities, because it's very important. Sometimes like we have so many thoughts, but when you write it down, you can be easily kind of identify this. And this exercise can be done daily, weekly, wherever you feel like your mind is too crowded. Take few minutes, grab a pen, and let your thoughts flow freely. And please, ladies, I know how we start overthinking, thinking about structure, judgment. Like, no, just release, just write it down. So the strategy about this tool is it's a rule of three. Once you see this on the paper, review your list. Highlight three main things on your list that actually can be priority, and build the actionable steps moving forward. And say just three main priorities, ladies, for the day to reduce overwhelm and improve focus. And it can be a small, very small steps. For example, um, having lots of time spending on Facebook, comparing myself to others drives me bananas, because like I don't feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, especially after Christmas. No, I'm talking about myself. But then I'm comparing on somebody more successful, skinny, or like colorful, or everybody's on vacation while I'm working too hard. And this is stressing me out, because somewhere subconsciously I'm thinking like, what, I'm not working hard enough, or I'm not eating well enough, and all that nonsense that our brain can come up with because we're actually consuming these videos and all that stuff. So, for example, if that would be one of the things that overwhelm me the most, I set the priority on that goal. I gonna turn off my phone by 9 o'clock, and I gonna have a bath, and maybe I gonna read a book, and maybe I gonna just just chill before I go to sleep without the um without like computer, TV, like whatever, and phone. So you look at those three things and think why I always leave it open, because sometimes you want to have a bath, but sometimes you want to just go to sleep. So you give like those three things like very easy actionable step, and you have a choice. So you're not bound to have a bath every time at 9 o'clock. So I hope you get this. Write everything down, circle whatever drives you crazy the most at that moment, and put three things um under that priority that you're gonna decide to create the habits around. And it's pretty doable. What do you think about that, Sarah?
That's excellent, right? I mean, if you externalize your thoughts, just as you said, the clarity is everything. And when I went through trauma, it made all the difference to me. And it's like the worst time of my life to have put that on paper. And you're right, you can easily see it and you can highlight it. I think that's great advice. But you have to remember, you got to shut it off to be able to take time to do that, but it will be worth it. So listen to Lena. This is very good advice.
Absolutely. Listen to both of us, and honestly, it will help you. And let us know if this exercises was helpful, and we'll love reading your feedback and comments and success stories. Oh my goodness, I love those ones. But I like to read about challenges too, because I have tons of like tools and ideas to help you that been proven, that I've been working with experts. And if I don't know, like, I trust me, I will find somebody who knows. So it's honor and privilege to serve you guys and celebrate your achievements and witness your breakthroughs. Your success not only inspires us as coaches, but encourages others as well on their journey. So please share and stay tuned for another episode of Love and Beloved. And it's going to be the role of physical health in your wellness journey, right up to your alley, the movement specialist, Sarah Barton. And this series acts as an extension of my coaching philosophy. It brings all four pillars together to create wholesome approach to wellness that empower women to thrive in every season of life. And it will feature 30 minutes. We're actually good on timing. Woohoo! And this episode's gonna be with Sarah for another 4 weeks, and we're gonna debunk some myth about wellness, answer your questions, guys, and share some practical tools, strategies that are simple and doable to help you to make those first steps towards transformation. Look, it's almost like the tongue twister. Um, Thank you so much for listening, guys. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. And thank you again, Sarah. I'm so grateful for you and your time.
Thank you so much. Great conversation today.
Awesome. Until the next time, guys, take care and be blessed.